Welcome to Wednesday Night Undressed, or as some people call it, Old Farts Complaining. Yes, let me gently introduce. Could we have a little less silent, a little bit more silence in the audience, please? Thank you. Let me gently introduce our panel for... Excuse me. Thank you. At least while we're doing the introduction. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. So, our panel for tonight's debate here on Old Farts Complaining: the magic Dr. Orlando, the indefatigable Kathleen Taylor,
Hola.
the legendary, enough of that, the legendary Tyler Durden.
JT, what's good?
What's up? What's up? That wasn't me. That marvellous I can't say the word. Sophistication. Jane Carter.
Hey.
Mike.
Hey. That was sophisticated.
That was very sophisticated. Do you think that was sophisticated? Yes. Well, the Dark Lord of Transylvanian Pheromones.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Well, you can do better than that. Jeez. Well, you know, even off guesting tonight, Mikey Pokorny, whose free spirit has found him on stages from here to Tonganoxie.
Just about. Right around the corner.
And occasionally...
Conroy's Pub.
Kansas City, and St. Louis. Without further ado, the first question for our panel tonight, and it is, in fact, an important question that I forgot... Oh, yeah, I know. This one was... with my producer and I, Eric, we like to do brackets that have nothing to do with sports. And so I was thinking all-round top pirate. Fictional pirate, all-round top pirate. Okay, Captain One-Eyed Willie, obviously from the Goonies. Captain James Hook.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Captain Long John Silver. Jim Ladd. And Captain, as he does like to be called, Captain Jack Sparrow. So, all-round top pirate. And we're going to start with Dr. Orlando.
Why has it got to be me? It's because I'm black.
Well, yeah, and there was
days,
a black pirate,
It is.
wasn't there? I don't know.
So for me, I think I would actually have to immediately disqualify One-Eyed Willie because he crashed his boat in Oregon, of all places. So he's right out.
Good point.
I like Long John Silver because that was one of my favorite stories as a kid.
And you like his fish?
And I love the fish.
Yeah.
I can have it, I think, once a year without having any ill effects. And
it's so weird. One of those things that you crave, but then once you have it, there's this nasty feeling, aftertaste, this deep fried crab, and you know you've just eaten crab.
that's
But you
entirely
crave it every once in a while. Like, my God, I gotta have Long John
I
Silver.
have to have Long John Silver's
Yes.
fish, and no other fish will do.
I know.
No, I agree with you.
That is different from all other fish in the world.
You know, sometimes you get constipated and you got to find a way to make things flow again. So thus, Long John Silver's.
I have to say, I've lived in America now for 10 years, and I have only honked up twice. Once, I don't remember why.
Booze.
Secondly, was I had stopped at Long John Silver's because I fancied some fish and chips.
John Long Silvers. Do not be confused with the porn actor John Long Silvers.
Well, that's Long John Silver.
Yeah.
He was named that because he wore underwear, right?
So we've completely forgotten the pirates angle here. Let's go back to the pirates.
Shocking. It only took us,
for
5
me,
minutes?
it's either going to be Hook because he's the prototype, he is the definition of a pirate, or it's going to be Captain Jack Sparrow because he's the most powerful pirate on that list. There's
And
nothing,
ambiguously gay.
and ambiguously gay.
Or maybe
and you can't really go
inambiguously, I don't
along.
know.
You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah.
It's the eyeliner.
But he's apparently got superpowers because he never fails in his mission. He's battled all kinds of supernatural creatures, and his movies keep making money. I think that last point definitively goes with Jack Sparrow.
My favorite pirate, Han Solo.
Boom, that's where I was going to go.
Yeah. Really?
Yep, that's exactly
Oh
what
my God! God, I stole it.
Right
I
there,
stole
buddy.
it.
Right there. I was like, dude, you talking about what a pirate really is, bucking the system, being a smuggler. It's Han Solo. Hands
Yes.
down.
Yes.
I know what you were going to say, Doctor.
What was I going to
Orlando.
say?
This I thought immediately. As soon as somebody mentioned Han Solo, they're going to be like, no, that's the way it is, and it's Captain Kirk.
Actually,
not a
I'm going
pirate.
to make a very, very guilty admission.
Ooh.
That was Jeremy's original question, and I threw in between Captain Kirk, Han Solo, Captain Harkness,
Yes.
Captain Jack Harkness. What about the guy from Firefly? The
and
Captain Firefly.
Captain Mal. Those were Jeremy's original questions, and I just threw in Sparrow as the forgettable vote.
You see, I took the view that the guy who ran Serenity,
Captain Mal.
Captain Mel?
Mal.
That's
That's
right.
Malcolm Reynolds.
Malcolm Reynolds.
Yeah. And Han Solo were not pirates. They were
Han
smugglers.
Solo was a pirate.
I thought he was a
Look
smuggler.
at the way he dresses.
Space
He
pirate.
even dresses like
Space
a
pirate.
He has this very kind of subtle pirate look about him. He's a smuggler. He bucks the
best.
he
But
bucks
then,
the government.
and then Captain. It's actually Captain.
he is
as
actually-
opposed to Captain.
By the way,
Jack
Han Solo is the
Harkness.
captain.
And
He's the captain of
Blackbeard,
the Millennium Falcon.
Blackbeard had an army, right? Blackbeard had like 4 ships and 300 pirates or something
True.
like crazy like that, and he fought in battles against countries and won. It's kind of hard to choose because all of them died violent death, pretty much. Like they're all either decapitated or hung, or
Or frozen in carbonite.
or frozen in
with a
carbonite.
lightsaber.
What about the ladies, the Incredible? They were vicious. And was it Anne Bonn or Anne Bonner, the famous pirate
Anne
lady?
Bonner, yeah.
Bonner and
Yeah.
and her friend Mary. Those two women pirate were vicious. From what I don't know much about them, but I think they were, and I think they survived. They didn't get.
No, one of them did because they used to like to rape men. They used to rape
Right.
men. I've never figured out how that works.
Yeah, how does that work?
Syphilis will do that to you.
Did any of you guys get a chance to go see the Pirates exhibition at I guess it was in Union Station, where they had the pirate ship Ouida? It was actually a pirate ship that was here in not here in the area, like in Chicago, Great
Yeah,
Lakes
I'd like
area.
to see them get one up the claw.
Well, it's not impossible. But no, I'm sorry. The Ouida is not the pirate ship that was at the Great Lakes. The Ouida was out on the East Coast.
Oh, right.
But they actually went through the pirate's life with incredible detail. They talked about how pirates were the first truly democratic society in America because the captain really only determined where the ship went, but all of the policies and procedures that were on the ship.
No, it's more a set of guidelines.
Yes, exactly. But the crew would actually vote on what the mission was, how the booty would get divvied up.
They were allowed to actually have a vote on that.
They actually did everything
Right.
strictly by vote, and it didn't matter whether you were man, woman, black, white. If you were one of the crew, your vote counted equally, as equally as everybody
Why are
else's.
we fascinated by pirates? Why is it
It's the
rogue
sashes.
element or
The
I think it's the
Sashes.
rogue element.
the rogue?
Yeah.
The rogue element. We are fascinated by the adventure, by the unknown,
Sticking it to the man.
sticking it to the system, going against
Yeah.
the system.
Well, what about these pirates, modern day pirates, operating off the east
In
coast of Africa?
Somalia,
They're just greedy as hell.
Somalia, or driven by extreme poverty and. I don't know. It's what we are missing. We're missing like pond pirates. I want to have like pirates in the Lake Clinton Lake. Wouldn't that be hilarious? Like with like a big ship with cannons and everything.
And
they swoop
They can
and
swoop
just
in, steal your fish.
or just raid your pontoon
No.
boat.
You just go to
get
the
all the
beer.
beer.
Get all the beer.
all
Yeah,
the
raid
of
the beer
pontoon
can,
and
yeah, right.
disappear into.
I got a
the mist
dredge.
of
We can make an
Lake.
island. That's not true.
You guys,
I can tell
can't
you
have
that-
beer on Clinton Lake.
Oh yeah, my
Pond
bad.
pirates.
English law is quite strange in that they did away with the death penalty many years ago now. However, there are 2 crimes that you can still be executed for in the United Kingdom. One is burning down one of Her Majesty's warehouses.
She likes her warehouses.
She gets very worked up about her warehouses.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Why does she have warehouses,
Well,
and why are they still
it's
called
actually
warehouses?
an HM dockyard. You burn down a dockyard, you can be executed.
Because they're Her Royal Majesty's
and that
dockyards.
comes under regicide. And the other one is piracy on the high sea. And it is still, many people like my father and I, we have
Piracy?
Jolly Jack Roger flags. And the Royal Navy will require, if you drive past a Navy ship, right, flying a Jolly Roger, they will require you to drop it.
Is there a low sea?
And they're taking
I
life
mean,
very
what does
serious.
the high sea mean? It's like
It's the one above the...
piracy on the high sea. Is there ever been a low sea?
Yeah, when you're not high.
Well, I understand like Snoop Dogg on the sea is always high sea.
Yeah.
Yes, the Dutch have got one. In fact, you see, they built a wall quite a long time before Trump did.
Yeah.
And they're hoping that Trump will use the same engineers to build his wall as the Dutch did. Let's move on. Millicent Fawcett.
You didn't get my favorite
Oh,
part.
I'm
me
sorry.
neither,
Oh,
jeez.
the ladies. Oh,
Because we were being
Asshole.
polite and
Yeah,
waiting for y'all to finish your
Captain
conversation.
Morgan.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Bracket. You guys are busting the bracket. So far, we got Han Solo and Jack Sparrow. That's
Thank you.
it's not enough. It's not enough
What
for a
about
full
you?
tournament.
Favorite?
I would have said Captain Hook, just
Ah.
because he seems to be a good balance of all of it. He's got wit. He pirates, but he never takes it really too far.
it smells like someone's had a pee in here. Oh, sorry, it's Evo putting mint in his drink.
Yes.
Is that the same mint from last week? Because it's looking pretty brown.
Anyway, Jane, you were saying.
Single toe
That's
even
okay.
off.
I'm done.
Yeah.
You guys forgot a couple.
way.
You guys forgot a couple. Captain Morgan.
I didn't
That's
know.
what she just said.
You said
Holy
that.
hell in a
You
handbasket.
were researching.
Okay. And we also forgot Captain Crook.
Captain Crook rather
Captain
than
Crook,
Cook.
little known McDonald's character
Oh, yeah.
from the 80s, who was in McDonaldland.
Captain
along
Obvious. I like Captain Obvious.
with Mayor McCheese with Birdie and Fry Kid and Officer.
You were right. Let's go on.
And
Let's
the
move on.
Pittsburgh Pirates also.
I see him.
Millicent Fawcett, and you all know who Millicent Fawcett was, is set to have a statue in Parliament Square in London.
Yeah.
Parliament Square is the little square just in front of the Houses of Parliament. Why? Her, clearly to honour her part in changing a culture in Britain and ultimately the world. In fact, she was the lady that started the women's suffrage movement. So, and she's having a statue because she made a change to British governance and law. That's why she gets a statue there, alongside Winston Churchill and a few others. But panellists, I ask you, given the choice and the wherewithal, who would you erect a statue in honour of? Where and why? Let's start with Eva, because you might have some really neat ideas. I mean, your dad,
yeah.
for instance, you could make your dad would be a good candidate for a statue.
See, I've always been kind of against statues for several reasons. First of all, they
Okay, let's not start with Eva.
they never really look, no matter how hard they try, unless it's Michelangelo, they're never really realistic. They look horrible. For example, you saw the Cristiano Ronaldo horrible statue bust at Madeira Island in Portugal.
How did that happen?
It's completely insane.
But I'd say the statues of the Royals players out of the K look pretty good.
Yeah, some of them look good. Some of them look good. Some of them look horrific. Also, guys, come on. Think about the fucking pigeons. They exist for that
called
one
target
reason.
practice, man.
They did for one reason. As soon as statue is erected, they start pooping on it. In fact, if you've seen the movie Top Secret, which is a great movie, there was actually in it, there was a giant statue of a pigeon, and people were perched on top of it and pooping on top of the pigeon as a kind of a poetic justice. But that's one reason.
Can I hardly see that now.
Also, it's like very often people work really hard to achieve the statue status, so they can, have statues erected in their honor. And then things go south, and the statues become just an opportunity for people to express rage against them. Like, I'm thinking immediately of Lenin and Saddam and Joe Paterno, and statues become a negative very easily, and an opportunity for people not to honor the memory of somebody, but to piss on the memory of that person. But if I had to, I gotta say probably the hedgehog.
Ron Jeremy.
Ron Jeremy, but obviously it's not going to be dressed. It's not going to be a dressed statue.
So it'll be an erect statue.
Erect. We will have to erect that statue. John Holmes too. Captain Morgan. Captain Morgan doesn't have a statue. That would be a great statue with him.
There's
stepping.
a very interesting marble statue of a life-size nymph, but size of a guy. In a certain garden, which I was told about once, and this man has an erect penis.
Yeah.
And the whole thing was grown up. It was in the middle of a lake, right? And it was all grown over. And this family bought this house, this big old house, and they did up the gardens and everything.
It's
and
only though erect in the morning, right? It's it's not.
And this guy has this erect penis, and it's all the right size and everything.
Well, obviously, the obvious question is, how do you know? But,
I was just moving my mic around to ask that very same question.
How do you know it's the right size? But there's some. Have you seen the Kate Moss? I immediately thought of Kate Moss statue. The biggest statue made out of gold since the ancient Egyptians, is of Kate Moss, the supermodel.
Really?
And it is obnoxious. It is like...
Where is
It
this
belongs in Penthouse
monstrosity?
magazine. It's in London, of course. Like all horrible statues are in London. There's
Made of solid gold?
solid gold,
Who
gold.
made it?
It was commissioned by a giant institution, and it's this very controversial sculptor that came up with it. It was big news for a while, and you
Gold
can see
is a soft metal. You could
it's
make
it's
dents in
pretty
that.
amazing statue, but it's really dirty, you know.
I want to come across to Tyler for a minute. Tyler, who would you have?
I got a few options, actually. First two are rather quick because they may already exist. I'd put a statue of Jackie Robinson outside the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown, just for breaking the color
there
barrier.
one?
There may already be one. I'm not real sure. I'd also put a statue of Rosa Parks outside the African American Museum in D.C. if there's not already one. But one that I would definitely do is I'd put a statue of Mikhail Gorbachev outside the UN building.
Yeah.
Because Gorbachev, again, going back to what Ivo was talking about, this idea of actually being a humble individual and not trying to do things to try and make a statue for you, like to earn a statue.
Yes.
He never wanted to do that. He was actually trying to make the world better. He ended this decades-long Cold War trying to make us better as a people, and I mean, he really understood what the United Nations was really about working together. I would put a statue of him outside the UN.
Yeah.
I'd go the other direction.
Kathleen.
I would have a statue of my 5th grade teacher, Miss Stella Jacoby, who taught all 4 of myself and my 3 siblings, and made a significant impact on each of us to represent all dedicated teachers everywhere.
Yeah. I was thinking as you were talking about how ordinary people would be nice to have statues for ordinary people. Yes, that's the Kate Moss statue.
Oh my God.
But
Okay.
It's like Shiva.
yeah,
certain parts do.
but you know what? If we start erecting statues for all the teachers, the doctors,
No,
it's
just to
gonna be
represent all the
that's a good
dedicated
idea.
teachers.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Dr. Orlando.
Yeah.
I was thinking more or less the exact same thing. As I was trying to come up with who I would make a statue of, the first person I thought of literally was your dad.
Thank you. Wow.
And the second person was the teacher that made the most influence on my life. And I am happy to say that there's actually a few. So for me, it just comes down to who I feel like made the biggest. That'd be Miss Annie Watkins, my homeroom teacher for most of my high school career.
Wow.
But for that exact same reason, that she could represent, that entire line of work.
Mikey,
Would
who
have
would
to-
it be? Robin Williams?
Lenny Bruce.
Oh, it would have to go down to Dr. Egon Spengler. Little known scientist outside of the National Science Institute. That's what I would say.
What did he do?
Ghostbusters.
He was much more than a
Suppositories?
Ghostbuster. He was a pioneer in the paranormal studies of the supernormal.
He tried to drill a hole through his head.
I know
That would
who
have
he
worked
is.
if
That
they
would have
hadn't
worked.
stopped him.
Exactly.
It's kind of a
Wow.
travesty.
He worked
that-
for Baby Ruth's and Milky Way bars.
It's travesty that there's not a statue of Nikola
Okay.
Tesla in America. There's one in
Agreed.
Croatia.
Yeah.
That's another good.
Is there one of Edison?
I'm
Probably.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least at Menlo Park.
What about the ladies?
Jane,
Give
yeah.
us.
Jane, who would you have one?
I would say James Garner as Detective Rockford from the Rockford Files.
Oh yeah, that's the least I
That's
expect.
awesome.
I mean, the
That
least
is awesome.
likely
That's an
person.
awesome answer.
I have been rewatching this show, and it is the shit.
Hell
I
yeah.
highly recommend.
Kudos.
I mean, I watched it when I was a kid, but you don't pick up on anything when you're a kid. So I started rewatching it, and it's like real life Looney Tunes, the most non-PC shit ever, and he
Wow.
is awesome.
That's literally the
Yeah.
last
Yeah.
His
person.
father. What was his father's name? Something with a Y.
Yeah.
No. In the show, his dad's always getting in the way of things, isn't he?
I guess so.
He's
I've
got a
only,
name
I've only
like
made it
Rocky
through
or
like
something.
5 or 6 episodes. I don't recall.
You managed to surprise every one of us, man. It was literally the last person I would think you would come up with. It's between him and Barney Rubble. You know, it's like the least likely.
It's insulting to
I got to
Rockford.
change my answer to Barney Rubble.
Well, I think
Wilma. It's got to be Wilma. Yeah.
I mean, there's lots of statues to Winston Churchill and Roosevelt and people like that, but what about famous people like Tom and Jerry and
I'd like to see
Okay,
one of
this
Shirley
let's
Mulligan.
connect between the first half of
Nobody
that sentence
came
and
up
the
with a
second half,
woman.
you know?
Nobody
I have
mentioned.
one, actually.
Okay.
I was thinking about Shirley Muldowney would be a great statue to put outside of Daytona. I think that'd be fantastic.
You know,
especially for young girls coming to watch racing and,
You-
and,
you
and
know, I
being
started-
Yeah,
inspiration.
that'd be good.
I started in my head remembering the horrible statues that I've seen of famous people and thinking how upset those people will be. Literally, the worst statue I've ever seen, the scariest, was in Milan of Saint Bartholomew. Have you seen this one?
Yeah.
This is a guy, a statue of a guy, very realistic, without his skin.
Oh.
And he's holding his skin over his shoulder. It's all muscle, the muscle.
Every
It's
muscle.
super realistic, and you can tell it's his skin because on one end of this robe that he's wearing over his shoulder, there's feet, and on the other is his face. It's a horrible statue. Another one is in Nashville. Have you seen the horrible Nathaniel Forrest statue? The first Grand Emperor.
That's in
of-
Memphis.
Is it in Memphis?
It's in Memphis, yes.
And Ku Klux Klan, the first great, and it is
Nathan
the
Bedford Forrest.
it is the most freakish, grotesque statue you can imagine.
Yeah, that's Forrest Gump's dad.
Yes. Well, he was named. Forrest Gump was named after him.
Okay.
The character was named after this guy. And obviously, Cristiano Ronaldo has 2 statues. The full-size statue, has a bulge in his shorts, and it's really ridiculous because at the inauguration, at the opening of the statue, he was there. Cristiano Ronaldo was there, and he was standing, and the crotch of the statue was like next to his face.
Even
it was
better.
bulging in his face. It was the most ridiculous moment. And then they opened this bust at the airport in Madeira of him that looks like the mutant from the Goonies.
Yeah.
It's not a statue; it's a monument. But tell the panel here about the guy in Bulgaria with the slice
Yes.
down his head.
Yes. There's this guy. He was the prime minister of the country in very turbulent times in the beginning of the 20th century. His name was Stefan Stambolov, and he was a really super intelligent guy, but very forceful. And he was assassinated on the street as he was riding in his prime minister carriage. A guy jumped and sliced his head with a sword and killed him. And the statue that they erected in Sofia of him is just his head sliced in the middle of it. It was the greasiest.
I walked up to the statue and I'm like,
Why would
Holy crap.
what is wrong with the people in
It's just
Bulgaria?
like- it's insane. But you know what? We have a similarly disturbing statue of Charlie Parker here in Kansas City. That is just a bizarre.
Yeah?
Have you seen it?
No.
The Charlie Parker statue on 18th and Vine. Man, it is horrible. Horrible. I hate that statue.
What's bad about it?
It's just one
Guess I
giant
need to pay more
white
attention to
head.
statues.
Oh, right.
And it's like, I don't know, it's something off with that. It's just something off.
Oh, okay. A giant white head would.
Did
yeah.
you find it?
I'm looking for it, but like the Lucille Ball statue,
Oh,
that her
the
fan,
scary Lucille?
the scary
I
Lucille
forgot
Ball.
about that
Yes.
one.
The scary Lucille.
Oh, in New York.
Oh.
Oh, that thing's. Oh, that's
It
horrible.
was so hideous that fans took a collection to
remove it.
and get a better statue made because it literally made her look like some grotesque swamp beast.
There was
Wow.
a statue of Michael
Wow.
Jackson in London at the Fulham Stadium.
Oh, that can't be that bad.
Oh.
No, actually, it is. I remember that.
It
yeah,
was- they
yeah.
had to
it was
remove
awesome.
it.
Yeah,
It
they
was-
did. I do
it was
remember that actually.
disturbing.
Yeah, that was disturbing. Yep.
What era of Michael Jackson?
Later.
We
Yeah,
just
like
found
late 80s, early
people
90s.
around
Yeah,
just
it was.
found
I was gonna say after a certain point, I
It
don't.
was after the
There's the
burning.
Lucille Ball statue.
Oh my! I don't even want to look closer. That is scary looking. Look up scary Lucille Ball statue.
Who's her dentist?
God. Okay, that.
Oh, that was a great topic.
So we haven't
That
come
looks
up
like
with
Beetlejuice.
an
Off
answer,
we
but
go.
whatever. So we're going to do a serious one now. I'm just interested because we've all got kids here, with the exception of Mikey, who refuses to recognise his 5 children. Police and the public. Who doesn't get it? The police or the public? Entitlement or I know my rights? Should it be do exactly as you're told and then, if possible, sue them or just grumble? Or is it simply that through history, dumb folk had never done what they were told by authority figures, only now they may get tased or even shot? I remember being told by a senior sergeant here in America, I'm going home tonight. In other words, he continued, if in doubt, the suspect goes down, because I'm going home tonight to my kids. I don't know what it's like to be a person of colour, but as late teens, when I was in my late teens, I had long hair and got stopped every night. Now I'm a foreigner in a foreign land and fear being stopped. Let's start with Tyler.
I think philosophically, you're looking at issue of abuse of power versus entitlement. And with our society, you see our society becoming more and more entitled as just private citizens. And so there seems to be this kind of issue of those who are the police, are they abusing their power to counteract the entitlement, or those who feel entitled, are they doing this to counteract the abuse of power? And so I think it's a chicken or the egg, which came first kind of issue. I don't really know what the answer is, but I feel there's some kind of relationship between those two. But either way, it boils down to whichever camp you're in, whether you are one of the citizens or one of the police, it boils down to fear. And somehow we have to find a way to bridge that gap and ease the fear between those with guns who are walking the streets, just out and out publicly doing this, versus private citizens who are not. There has to be some way to ease that fear.
Mikey,
Burn it all down.
we're all going to die.
We're all gonna die. We're all gonna die. Fear and
Which is one of Mikey's favourite sayings.
We're all gonna die.
We're
and
all going to die.
I don't know. I would say there was way more police abuse and murder and unjustified killings back in the day than there were now. We just see it so much because cameras are everywhere. I would contest that things are not as bad as they used to be, especially for minorities. How I don't believe we can say. I mean, we are getting more entitled, I would suppose. But it's a good thing, because what would you say African Americans in this country, for example, were entitled to prior, while this country started? We didn't. There was a huge segment of huge segments of society that never really had entitlement in the first place.
But Mikey, let me be clear. When I
But-
say entitlement, I don't mean a minority. I'm talking just us as private citizens. I don't
Right.
care what ethnicity or what group you identify with.
Oh no, yeah,
Just
I don't want to.
private
I don't want to
citizens
paint.
as a
I don't want to
whole.
paint your position like that. Yeah, at all. No.
Jane.
Well, it's kind of interesting. I really wanted to hear what everybody had to say about it, first of all, but definitely understand what you're saying with the entitlement. I think that technology, and Dr. Orlando's probably going to wrap me over the mouth with this, but it's exacerbating everything. And I'm not saying there isn't a problem. I'm just saying that we never see the good anyway. Nobody ever wants to put the good out there, and I know that's a generalization because there's good. It's just that nobody rails about the good. So, yeah, I really don't know. I don't.
Have you ever been pulled over by the police in a motor car and then treated in a way that you would prefer was, that you didn't enjoy?
Once I was in Louisiana, as a matter of fact, outside of Natchitoches, Louisiana, in between Alexandria and Shreveport. And I got pulled over for speeding, rightly so. It was raining just lightly outside. And from his bullhorn, megaphone, whatever, he yelled, "Get out of the car!" And I was like, what the hell did he just say to get out of the car? I was like, it's raining. I'm not going to get out of the car. Get out of the car now. So I got out of the car, and he came up to me and immediately had this horribly aggressive stance. And I said, "Sir, is there something that I've done wrong?" Ma'am, stay where you're at. Yeah, I wasn't moving. Like, it's okay. And finally, after a couple minutes, I just said, "Sir, is there something that I've done wrong to make you treat me like this? Because I have complied in every way, and you are being extremely rude to me, and I can't understand why." And he immediately softened just a bit, and he said, "Well, I do apologize for that, ma'am. Here, most people immediately meet me with aggression." And this was probably 2003, 4. And that was the one and only time I've ever had a negative run-in with a police officer.
Let's go across to Evo.
Well, the things between police and the public have reached kind of a boiling point, to a point that, like, the band Public Enemy wouldn't even open for police.
We all got it.
But no, seriously.
I blame Sting for that, by the way.
I think I'm gonna take this to my least favorite topic, guns. I think Mikey's somewhat right that things are more exposed now, but also there's something else. We have reached a point of saturation with weaponizing these private citizens of this country. There's obviously, we've talked about it many times, there's more guns.
That's why I say fear.
Yeah, guns and police are scared, man.
Yeah.
It's the Wild West. There's a reason Wyatt Earp banned guns in Tombstone. They're frightened because everybody they stop on the street for expired license tag or for speeding, or they assume the worst. They are with the hand on their gun, waiting to pull the trigger, because they assume everybody is armed to the teeth, with automatic weapons, and who knows what they're up to. So they are trigger happy. I mean, they're justifiably nervous. Also, the police, a lot of them are. I want to say a lot of the police suffer from racism. There's a lot of, I hate to say it, but a lot of the police, especially the ones that are not very well trained, they come with their biases, they come with their prejudice, and they go into neighborhoods that they consider high risk, ready to shoot at anybody they don't consider dressed correctly, or it's really frustrating.
Can I stop you and just ask a question? So when you were growing up and you had long hair, horrible youth, in Bulgaria, and you borrowed your dad's car,
Yeah.
Did you get pulled over? What happens there?
No, because we lived in communist, it was a completely different environment. You don't question the police or the system there. You just don't. We literally did not have crime in the country. It was really bizarre. And, you could not question authority whatsoever. But, I have my contacts with police here, and I've always had positive experiences, except for one time, and that's when you kind of realize that cops are just human beings with weaknesses and all the vice that comes with being a human being. And like my wife got stopped, and we were in an RV, and I gave her the wheel for about 2 hours, and she immediately got pulled over in Texas at 2:00 in the morning. And there was no other vehicles, and my wife didn't break any rules. She wasn't breaking the speed limit or anything. So a young cop, redneck cop, stops us, and he doesn't see me that I'm in the RV. He sees my wife, and he starts shamelessly hitting on my daughter, on my 17-year-old daughter who's sitting next to my wife. He doesn't see me. And it's really kind of almost extremely creepy and kind of frightening, because you're in the middle of nowhere, there's a cop, and you don't know how to react. What do I say to him without triggering him? Then he sees me and got confused. But, cops are people. People have weaknesses and all kinds of issues themselves.
Well, you hear those stories about sexual assault, etc., and you should never stop until you get to a town if you're a female.
And that's what I'm thinking. The women probably have a completely different, or not completely, but somewhat different experience coming in contact with cops.
Kathleen, let's go across to you.
I think the statistics don't lie. Women should be more careful, and if you are of a minority, you should be way more careful, because there is a completely different reality for white people and black people.
You have to be afraid of the cops. That's where we are.
That is, and it's, as I said, the statistics don't lie. The communities that get their fees as a community by fining people are generally black communities.
Yeah.
There is something wrong. A lot of it is in training, but a lot of it is in the inherent racism in the police system.
Yeah, and before we throw this to Mr. Orlando,
Dr.
Orlando,
please.
I watched a masterpiece of a movie recently.
You watched who doing what?
It's not often that you can say this. It's called Get Out. It's directed by the incredible Jordan Peele. Incredible. We will hear a lot about this man in the future. And there is a scene, without giving too much of the movie, but in the very beginning of the movie, and at the end, it's kind of bookending the movie. There's a scene that involves an African American man and a cop, and this sets the tone for the entire movie, and it's brilliant. It's a brilliant introduction to the entire concept of the movie, and it's really incredible. You gotta watch this.
Captain Orlando. Dr. Orlando.
Captain, did I get a ship in the last 30 seconds?
He's up. You're a pirate now.
I never,
Jim lad. Sorry, go on.
quite honestly didn't look at this question in the entire time that I've known about it as a strictly black versus cop, or minority versus cop, or woman versus cop. I never looked at it that way. I looked at it as, we are Americans. We have certain rights. Do we stand up for our rights in the face of those that are oppressing them, even if that person is a person in power, or do we go along to get along? As I'm looking at the question originally, that was really kind of the tack that I was going to take. And so it was very interesting for me to hear most of the things that the panel said, because there are some certain things that I agree with wholeheartedly and certain things that I disagree with. For instance, I agree that cops bring their biases in, but I don't believe that all cops are racist, or most cops are racist. I think that cops are biased, and that shows up in some of the things that they do, but I don't think that most cops inherently believe in the superiority of white people or subscribe to institutions, consciously subscribe to institutions that push that agenda.
Agreed.
However, I think that a lot of the police policies are racist. If those two things aren't...
Laws in general.
Well, no, not laws in general, but the enforcement of laws. Part of the problem for me is that police determine what laws get enforced. It is not the government. It is not the policymakers, the law, any of that. Who determines what laws get enforced are the police, and the police also determine who they enforce those laws on. And if police live in a society where you are told that any time a black guy is over 6 feet tall and over 200 pounds, he is a danger and a thug, then that's who you're going to police. That's not a racist. That doesn't make the cop racist. That makes the cop uninformed. And I agree with you, Evo, that's what needs to change. The level of education, the level of
That's what I
knowledge and
meant by the
understanding.
inherent racism
That
in the
makes-
system.
It's the
police
system. Yeah. It's and for me, there's a difference between saying that the system is racist versus saying the cop is racist. Because in my mind, as soon as you say the cop is racist, you have essentially pigeonholed him and shut him down, and he then has to fight
Or her.
this. Yeah, he or she has to fight this notion that he or she is being racist. When the truth of the matter is, they are being racist, but that's what they've been taught, and they have to be untaught that. So that's really the important thing. I am very confused by the concept of entitlement, because again, I came at this question with the notion that we're all Americans. We have rights. We have the right to not be subject to unreasonable search and seizure. But that's exactly what we're talking about here. Where is it that standing up to that is entitlement? I want to make sense of that, but I can't.
See, for me, it was interesting as a 17-year-old with very long hair, driving my father's Land Rover, and we're broadcasting this in America, so for Land Rover read Jeep, back at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, I would get pulled over, and I got pulled over for one period every single night by the same patrol car. And they asked for the same documents every night. Eventually, I sort of said, well, you asked me for these last night, and well, whatever. And then I realized that I was sort of part-time at college, and I realized that I was being followed by a police car to college. And they somehow had got it in their mind that this kid who lived in a big house and all that was drug dealing. No one had ever asked me. They'd never actually asked me the question. And I remember complaining to my parents about this, that it was very unfair. Although I got long hair and looked terrible in grown-ups' eyes, I thought it was very unfair. And my father sort of pushed away and said, don't be ridiculous. You're not being followed. Why would they follow you? And one day I thought, right. So instead of leaving the house, I actually walked down our driveway, and sure enough, there was the police car, unmarked police car with 2 plods sat in it.
And that was just last week.
So I walked back and get my father, who hadn't got dressed at this point, was wearing slippers, his pajamas, and a dressing gown. And I said, they're sat there now. He said, well, that's ridiculous in all my life. And he wandered off down to this little patrol car, and these 2 plods are sitting in the patrol car, and they see Napoleon appearing, and he knocks on the window, and he said, what are you doing? And apparently they told him to go away. And he said, you're on my land, you're on my driveway, so I'm entitled to know why you're here. You're obviously police officers. What do you want? And they wouldn't answer him. He said, there's an easy way and a hard way to do this. Thinking of Rockford, actually, is one of the things my old pappy used to say to me. He said, either you start the engine and leave now, or I'm going to go and call the chief constable, who I am in with Masons with. And that's what he did. and I never got bothered again.
That is a very bizarre
But
story.
it's
like
that's
what
my
the
bizarre
heck?
story of being
like
stopped by the
that
police.
Sounds like somebody had a crush on you or something.
But it's
How do
not.
I get rid of this ganja now?
But I
Kind of
don't
stalker.
know. I don't know, in all seriousness, what it would have been like if I'd been black. And I have a friend of mine who's an African American who says that in one town he never gets stopped, and yet when he goes back to his hometown in a new modern car, $40,000-$50,000 worth of motor car, he can get stopped in 5 minutes. It's not right.
That friend that he's talking about
See,
is me.
Lou, that's the entitlement I'm talking about.
See, this is not.
See, with Jeremy's story, there's actually truth behind it as far as there really is a connection. But there are a lot of people who they don't know the chief constable. They don't know anything. Just because they are who they are, they think they are above the law. And just because, and so they don't have to sit there and answer the questions that the police officers may ask, even if the police officer is not being in any way, shape, or form. They're not harassing this individual at all. They think, why are you asking me this? What is it to you? Do you know who I am? Those kind of things.
I get that.
That's what I'm talking about.
I get that, but that's that still kind of falls outside the purview of the question as I read it. It was, for me, it was a question of, do we stand up for our rights? Do we acquiesce to this authority figure that
We do
says,
stand up for our rights, but you have to do this in a respectable manner. There are individuals who stand up for their rights, even though their rights have not been infringed upon. I would say those are the people who I would argue are the entitled individuals. They feel this sense of entitlement.
It's
that
becoming
is-
more and more prevalent as with the, no offense here, I'm bringing it back around to the millennials, but yes, they really do. Have you guys
Agreed.
seen that
Agreed.
YouTube video? It's a few years old now. The little girl, she was probably 18, 19 years old, standing before the judge. He's got a Spanish accent. She makes fun of him. You seen it?
No.
She makes
Yes,
makes
I've
fun
heard
of
it.
him.
Yeah.
And as
really?
he says, he tells her what she has to do and everything, and she's acting very strangely the whole time. And so he asks her, "Are you on drugs?" And she said, "No, I'm not on drugs." But as soon as he says, "Here's my ruling," and he says, "All right, well, bye bye," and she goes, "Adios," and she walks away. And he goes, "Come back, ma'am," and he goes,
No,
"Now
you're in
you have
trouble.
$10,000 added onto it." What? Then she flips him off. Come back again. It's that thing. That's the entitlement. That
Yep.
he's
But is
talking
that
about.
new to millennials? Like, I'm quite
No, it's
literally seeing this on TV shows from 20, or not TV shows, but court
I
TV
wouldn't say
from
it's
20
new to
years ago.
millennials. I would just say that is growing. That it's becoming kind of
I
echoing what
concur.
Evo said a moment ago when he talked about how cameras
it's-
are everywhere.
Yeah,
It's always been there, but with the cameras, it's becoming more and more evident.
I
just
call it
like
the
Now that I
Kardashian
can get
effect.
behind.
Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
That I can completely
I
understand.
call it the Kardashian effect.
Yeah.
One of the Kardashian women had an accident a little while ago and piled her Bentley into somebody else. Obviously, she called the family, and the police knew what was going on. They put a little cordon around. No one's going through it. And I don't know, one of the husbands, who's apparently quite famous, turned up and walked straight past the police. He was stopped, said you can't, and he just said, "Do you know who I am?" He said, "Yes, sir. And if you continue, I will arrest you."
Well, to echo what Lou was saying just a moment ago, to kind of add your example, it's the same as the Ted Kennedy effect.
Right.
He should have gone to jail. He killed someone, yet he went free.
And
because he's
everybody
entitled.
here that's been a part of a small town or even a larger town that's broken up into communities, you all know who the rich family is that can essentially get away with anything.
Yep.
This is not new to. This is not a
not.
burgeoning problem for millennials. This is something that we are being more exposed to because people self-publish all the time.
Well, I could have, but didn't, and would be interested at another time having this conversation. What about gays who do this? So they say, "You're pulling me over because I'm gay."
Huh?
I think I'm going to try that.
What?
Let me know how that goes, buddy. Let me know how that works out for you.
I don't,
Rainbow sticker you can
I don't
borrow.
understand.
What if you
Like,
get a? Well, so am I.
How would you recognize? If you're a cop, how would you recognize somebody's
Well,
gay?
by the way he acts, the guy.
In the car?
car?
In the
Yes,
car.
hello, sweetie.
Is he like
Okay.
You know what?
filleting someone as he's driving down the street? What
Your
the hell?
understanding of gay behavior is, hello, sweetie. You know,
I'm
by
very
the way, this
uncomfortable
story
with
with
this
the
conversation all
cop,
of a sudden.
this story with the cop that was following you, this is it's stuck in my head. I can't stop thinking about. This guy was obviously some pervert that was freaking following you. That he just liked guys with long hair. He was stalking you. If you know, he was like creeping in his car around your house. This is really disturbing.
Holy
He-
shit! I just
he was-
realized Jeremy is the rich family I was talking about that can get away with anything.
Exactly.
That's right.
Holy
Yeah.
fuck.
And he was cute. I've seen some photos.
Yeah, he was just a young man, and this cop, this perverted cop, was probably lubing his areolas in his car. He's just
Full on uncomfortable now. Yeah.
just watching.
Can we go on to the
Watching
next question,
Let's
please?
Let's go on to the next
Please.
question. My question is this: what, and particularly, I'm interested in the ladies getting into this. Why not a female Bond?
Oh yeah.
A woman who is not dressed in leather, but with an average figure. A woman who can handle herself. A woman that other women would like to emulate. The new Batgirl film is about to go into production, written by the Buffy folks. What do they need to include? You know, what should Batgirl... should she be long legs, boots and leather and slap my thigh?
Only if they want males to go to the film.
Right, but what about what about an action hero that women would be interested
Bond
in?
is not an action hero. Bond is a real person, of course.
Well, yeah, true.
I mean, really.
Discussion about casting Gillian Anderson, right, as the next Bond, like the X-Files lady.
I hadn't heard her specifically. I've heard other women, but not Gillian Anderson.
I feel like a lot of movies have been made with female Bond. Not named Bond, not James Bond franchise, but
I would disagree with
there's-
that, actually.
Well, I mean,
Because the one thing that you've never seen is
Yeah.
you've never seen a female character who is strong and confident and not reliant upon a man. And whereas James Bond, you can argue, okay, yeah, he's strong and confident, he's reliant upon Q, but even he does exactly what Q, he goes exactly opposite whatever Q tells him to do half the time, because you see Q get mad at him for doing this, this, and this.
Yeah.
If the roles were reversed,
Do pay attention,
if
Bond.
the roles were reversed in our patriarchal sexist society, I can guarantee you would not see that happen.
I feel like I've seen a lot of movies, a lot of works of fiction with strong female characters that were spies and relied entirely on their own and on their sexuality. Like I immediately think of a long kiss goodbye with Gina Davis.
Yep, and then I thought of like Alias,
Alias.
and things like that.
They're making the Atomic Blonde into a movie with Charlize Theron. Charlize Theron herself was in another movie, Eon Flux, that was kind of like Mr.
that movie
and
was
Mrs. Smith with Angelina Jolie. Angelina Jolie was in another kind of a spy movie. What was the name of it? Where with
Wanted.
yes,
Tomb
yes.
Raider.
So it's becoming more popular to cast women as these super strong characters with martial arts abilities, with incredible ingenuity and skills. And
Of all those movies you just named, there was really only two where the woman did not at some point become a damsel in distress. And
but so does James Bond. James Bond becomes a guy that relies on his sexuality and radiance and sexual.
But he doesn't rely on the woman to
exploits.
save him. He doesn't become the hero in distress.
Yeah, but none of these women
I
do
think,
either.
and I think if I was going to take your point and kind of run with it, it's not that you're not seeing strong women. It's that even with the strong women, you seem to see that damsel in distress.
Exactly.
See, that's not entirely
that's why
true
I say
in
they're
the,
not
in the
relying
Daniel
upon
Craig
a man.
film with the Casino Royale, because that's what he wants from Vespa.
From Vespa.
He wants her to save him from the lifestyle, etc., etc. So
See,
I,
we've
I
been
can
watching a show which I would advocate you might like to watch, particularly Jane, is the Miss Fisher Mysteries. This is about a lady in the late 20s in Australia, probably Melbourne, Sydney, something like that, who had a bit of a first war. She I don't know whether she was with the intelligence services or whether she was a nurse or what have you. She comes from a landed family. She's a private detective
In Australia.
in Australia. So very male culture. But if she sees a guy she likes, she screws him,
Yeah.
right? But she's her own woman, isn't she?
Yeah.
Very much so.
Yeah. There's a real life.
It's fascinating, actually.
There's a real life character, extremely famous spy. You probably know about her. I think I don't want to slaughter her name, but I think her name was Christine Grenwell. She was a British spy from Poland, born in Warsaw, and she was extremely beautiful. And she was about 28 when the World War II started, and she was an incredible spy for the British intelligence, and did insane things. Google her.
Isn't that the girl that had like 28 KIAs?
I think you're thinking of the sniper.
No,
No.
no, she did. She went.
I don't think if you're a spy, they're called KIAs, but
They would send her. She was an incredible skier, and they would send her in through the Alps on missions in Nazi territory, and she did things that are she got captured several times. She managed to run away. She was incredibly inventive and beautiful. She slept with many, many men, and whoever she liked, she would, bed. And somehow they didn't give her the label of a whore. She used her sexuality to accomplish whatever she wanted, and
Much
just
like Bond.
incredible character. One time there was this story, I don't know if it's true or not, where she was kind of a Nazi soldier got her in the Alps, or a couple of Nazi soldiers, and pointed their guns at her. And she lifted her arms, and she was holding 2 grenades with the pins taken out. And she said, "If you don't turn around, I'm going to kill all 3 of us now." So they turned and left. And she did stuff like this. She was incredible. Christine Greenwald, I think. Incredible character.
Dr. Orlando, what do you think? Is it time for a female Bond? I don't, and I'm emphasize not someone who's over the top, but who can handle herself.
I think that the Bond character is a unique character. I think it is, at its core, an unlikable person. I think that Bond is a male power fantasy character. For that reason, you will not get a Bond audience to go and see a female Bond.
Yeah, there's some things that just don't matter. You don't do Jamie Bond or Hannah Solo.
Jane Bond,
or,
come on, it'd be great.
Well,
Come
we've
on.
got Jane Carter right here.
How about Hannah Solo?
As long as it passes the Bechdel test, I'm good with it. Okay? But you know what that would mean? She would have to be killing a lot of other women
Yeah,
for it to
true.
pass the Bechdel test. So
You guys know what the Bechdel test is.
the Bechdel test is a test that you do with movies and any form of entertainment, essentially, that rates it based upon how many women are in the movie, based upon what their roles are and what they do, compared to what
And do they
the
talk
men are
to
doing.
each other and not about men?
And yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
actually are integral parts of the storyline, as opposed to just being eye candy. Their dialogue is something other than men.
Well,
things like
it's
that.
my contention that history
So she would have to
gets
kill a
skewed.
lot of chicks.
Go ahead, say it again.
History gets skewed because there must have been a hell of a lot of women spies. Very successful women spies.
Mm-hmm.
You don't hear much about them because it's not a womanly thing to do, and they're so good at it. You don't find out. So there.
Our producer, incredible producer, Neil Rasmussen, gave me the name of Christine Granville. Her real name was Christine Starbeck. She was from Poland, indeed, but worked for the British intelligence.
Well, I want to finish this little section by giving 2 names of women who may surprise you. And you can, afterwards, when you finish, when you get home, and you've been listening to this podcast, running or writing or driving the car, and you want to research this, have a look at Wallis Simpson. Wallis Simpson. And then another woman to look at, Coco Chanel.
How about Wendy Ding?
Wendy Deng is another name.
Current.
Now, I wanted to ask one final question,
And Savannah.
because we're all brought up not to tell lies. Okay, you mustn't tell lies. But we now have a president who takes the view that lying is part of the negotiation. It's in his book. And I have 3 small people living with me at the moment, grandchildren. I'd just like to go round the table, very, very quick. Right, really quick answer. Should we always tell the truth? Or is it okay to lie in a negotiation? And if it's not, why have we all done it? Dr. Orlando.
Why are you picking on me? Is it because I'm black? No.
Yeah.
It's your line, isn't it?
It's my line for tonight, yeah. I try to live by the motto that you should always tell the truth, even if it's not the most beneficial thing for you. So I might be the wrong person to answer, but I'm going to stick with the always tell the truth.
Mikey.
Always tell the truth. But as that becomes more difficult, I'm sure a small lie will get slipped in there once in a while, maybe. But always do try to tell the truth.
Tyler.
Truth or lies, doesn't matter. Everybody's got their own agenda. Ain't gonna do shit.
This ain't gonna do shit.
Kathleen.
Ain't gonna do shit.
Civilization is based upon
Oh, God.
being truth.
Can we just
truthful.
do yes or no?
You gotta tell.
It's true.
You gotta tell the truth.
It's hard to go yes or
Yeah.
no.
It'll set you free. Evo.
I
I want an American answer or a Bulgarian answer.
We'll go with Bulgarian answer. First of all, the president, it's incredible because he has come up with 2 amazing concepts. First one I call.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Just
I
for
thought
1
this
second.
was
I'm sorry.
a
You
yes
just
or no
you just
Yes or no,
jumped
yes
on
or no.
her.
Holy
You just
Kathleen,
jumped on
yeah.
her because she didn't give you a straight yes or no answer.
Yeah.
If you go to Evo and
Now
you
we
let
see the
him just
violence
give this
inheritance
anecdote
system.
all about the
Evo's like,
president, I'm sorry.
Okay, let me
I'm
tell you about
sorry.
this.
Yeah, because
you just cut her off, and
It's
yet
your
he's
wife.
doing the, you allow
He
him
is
to do
gonna
the
pay
exact
for that
thing.
later.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
You will
I'm
have.
sorry. I'm
You
going
will
to call you out,
yeah.
my friend, but
You-
that's some bullshit.
so-
right there,
let me
bud.
you about one
Sorry.
things sometime.
Sorry, Jeremy, you have to cuddle. tonight.
Jeremy.
But
Jeremy.
no, I mean the president has come up.
Bullshit.
The president has come up with 2 amazing concepts. First one I like to call Robin Hood, which basically is taking from the poor and giving to the rich. It's the reverse Robin Hood.
Oh, that's good.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the second one I called George Washington, which is reverse George Washington, who said, "I cannot tell a lie."
It's like
the guy
cannot
says,
tell a truth.
"I cannot tell a truth." There's a level of lying that's pathological. Louis C.K. yesterday called the President Trump a pathological, disgusting liar who lies about everything, lies to a point
yeah.
where Louis C.K. said that I don't believe that his name is Donald Trump.
It isn't. It's Donald Trump.
So yeah, there's a level of lying that is unacceptable. We all lie every day. Every day you lie. When somebody asks you, "Are you doing okay?" and you say, "Yeah, I'm good." Well, you just lied, most likely. Maybe you don't have. Maybe you have a headache. So we have small lies, but the big lies we have to avoid and live. Try to be honorable.
Okay, so there was a small riot just now. We better go back to Kathleen, the indefatigable Kathleen.
No, I'm
because
sticking
she
with
was
you
talking
gotta
about
lie.
culture and various other things. And
I don't lie that I know of, and I don't like it when other people do it, so don't do it. What about Jane?
what about Jane? I didn't like to ask Jane.
The truth, because
Why are you
I
doing red?
tell the truth, but I also weigh and measure with people I love, people who I know who can handle complete and honesty, like just bare balls to the walls honesty. But then there are some people who have to have the sugar-coated version of everything I say, or it hurts their feelings, and then I'm in his shit house.
These are
offended by
white
your
lies.
remark right now.
These are white lies. Sometimes you have to give a
A white lie? Are
Why's
you
it gotta be
prejudiced
white?
against black again?
Damn, Evo.
Jeez.
Damn.
Jeez.
White lie or black truth, sometimes you have to, you gotta say what people want to hear every once in a while. Sometimes people are begging for a lie. Sometimes people want a compliment that they don't deserve, and you want to give it. So.
You've been listening to Mikey Pokorny, the magic Dr. Orlando, that indefatigable Kathleen Taylor, the legendary Tyler Durden, the marvellous sophistication Jane Carter, and of course the Dark Lord of Transylvanian Pheromones,
And-
Ivo Ivanov.
And let's not forget to thank our generous sponsors, Pan Am, and their new slogan, "Stay Grounded," and TWA, and Blockbuster.
My name's Jeremy Taylor. You can hear us on KLWN 1320 and 101.7. And want to thank our team today, our engineering
All these
team.
undressed
and,
old farts?
The undressed old farts who don't like to say very much. Of course, Eric the engineer, Neil Rasmus, and lots of S's. Most Rasmussens have about 3 or 4 S's. He has 7 in his name.
7 S's. He's like, he should be in gay porn.
He should be he should be a python in porn. Yes.
Yes.